Hi guys, this is Daniel Eigenman for the Finance Broker Forum. I hope you are all well, enjoying a beautiful Friday. I'm looking outside at the ocean and it's a beautiful day. What I wanted to do today is to talk to you about pre-approvals. And I don't want to talk about pre-approvals the way everybody else is talking about pre-approvals. No, we know it's a great thing to do. It allows you to determine exactly how much you can borrow. It puts you in a very strong position when you're dealing with the agents. We all know that, but what I wanted to do is to talk to you about what happens once you have a pre-approval. With my clients, I always spend a bit of time explaining to them exactly what that means. So let's have a quick look at it. First of all, when you get a pre-approval, that means that you've been conditionally approved. That means that you still need to fulfill a number of conditions. Usually, the conditions are you have to find an acceptable security. You then have to have a valuation done to make sure that you haven't paid too much. And if there's anything else, any other conditions, you got to make sure that you fulfill these conditions to then go and progress your application to a formal approval. Once you have a pre-approval and you want to make an offer, remember not to make a cash offer. It's not the same. When you make a cash offer, you've actually bought the property. All right. So if you still need to have finance approved, and remember, pre-approval is only a conditional approval. It's a expression of interest from your bank. It's not the same as a cash offer, so make sure you don't make a cash offer. That means that if you are going to an auction and being at an auction, it's a very good idea to have a pre-approval, and in this case, a fully assessed pre-approval. What does that mean? You want the bank to have a look at your documentation. You want the bank to actually check your credit file. You want them to call your employers to make sure that everything works out. And that's what I call a fully assessed pre-approval. At auction, also make sure not to spend more than your budget. The idea of a pre-approval is to tell you exactly what is your maximum budget. Now, talking about budget, when you are negotiating the price of your property, don't let your agent know what your budget is. All right? Tell them that you've got a pre-approval that will show them the letter when the offer is accepted. Because guess what? If you tell your agent how much you can spend, guess what's going to happen? Your agent is going to try to push you all the way to your maximum borrowing capacity, to your maximum budget. Now they'll use things like, hey, do you really want to lose that property for another $5,000? All right, so remember, I work for you. So remember, when you put an offer in, keep your pre-approval letter for you. Share that one with the agent after the offer has been accepted. Now, remember, one of the conditions of your pre-approval is an acceptable security. In this market where lenders are changing their policies about postcodes. Now, for example, CBA has recently introduced a postcode locator because what they've actually done, they've actually changed the maximum LVR. That's how much they will lend on a property depending on where that property is located. So make sure you check with your broker about the postcode, especially before you're putting an offer in. So make sure the postcode is acceptable to your lender. It's the same with the security. Make sure you check with your broker that the security is acceptable. One of the things that the banks are looking at right now is the density of the apartment or the building you're buying into. If you're buying an apartment into a building, make sure that there are no negative density, high density policies with your bank. Now, for example, Bank West will not finance an apartment in an apartment building that is higher than 4 stories. So you need to know, and that's easy to check. Just check with your broker that it's the right thing before you put the offer in. The other thing you want to make sure is when you make an offer, don't confuse the initial deposit that you make in your offer on your contract with the actual contribution that you're making in your finance. I've had a client about 2 months ago who was lucky enough to call me just before he was going to send the offer to the agent and actually put $125,000 as the initial deposit on the contract because he was confused about which was which. So remember, the initial deposit is your expression of interest. It shows how much you committed to the purchase. So put a small deposit, now between $1,000 and maybe $10,000. If you're going for a much higher property, maybe $10,000. But remember, it's just an expression of how committed you are to the property. You decide how much, but don't confuse it with the amount that you will contribute at settlement to settle your property. Now, understand that when you have a pre-approval, you have to meet some conditions, but it's also based on the fact that your situation, your financial situation is not changing. If your financial situation changes, the bank can refuse to give you the full approval. The same, once you've been approved, do not change anything until you settle. For example, I've seen clients apply for credit during pre-approval. Don't do that, because that will change your financial situation. That might actually mean that you can't afford as much as what you were pre-approved for. Don't change jobs between pre-approval or between full approval and settlement. If you need to change jobs, do that afterwards. Okay? Don't spend your deposit during pre-approval, because that's what you'll require at settlement. And also, I've had that at the beginning of this year, a client who thought that it was going to be a good idea to renegotiate the terms of the contract. He was about a week away from settlement and thought, hey, you know what? I have an issue with the outdoor veranda. It's going to cost me $15,000. How about I just call the seller and say, listen, I want to renegotiate the price because I don't want to have to pay for the $15,000. Now, he was good enough to negotiate the price reduction, but guess what happened? The terms of the contract have changed, and we had to basically reapply for the whole finance application again. So please don't do that. Now, if you've got any questions at any stage, if you're thinking of doing any of what I've spoken about, give me a call on 0412-022-110, or send me or post down with your questions, or IM me directly. Otherwise, I wish everybody a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a very fun and rewarding 2018. See you later. Bye.